Region of the ANC in the Eastern Cape is set to hold its elective conference in East London today. The region is the last to hold its conference in the province after some disgruntled members took to the region to court over the alleged manipulation of branches. Now, some branch general meetings were allegations surfaced of deceased and incarcerated people participating in the meetings were marred by violence. The position of chairperson is contested by a former MP and current Deputy Mayor Princess Faku, the former regional treasurer Ncedo Kumbaca and Ward 35 branch chairperson Lunga Nqam. Earlier we spoke to Abongile Yankees.
Unlike the provincial conference, which was held 2 weeks back, there's no one taking anyone to court today. Everything seems to be in place and it's quite a peaceful mood here at the East London ICC. The East London ICC seems to be a favorite for conferences, particularly elective conference. You'd recall that the Amatole region also held its conference here and the province also held its conference here. Now it's the Dr WB Rubusana Region. It's still some members of the Dr WB Rubusana Region who took the provincial conference to court on that provincial conference, but today there's no one taking anyone to court and they just want to elect new leaders and proceed with the conference. And tomorrow we should be having new leaders and there'll be no postponements. That's what they are saying. But to get a sense from the PEC of the province, I'm now joined by MP and also a PEC member here in the province, Umama Usisi Tolashe. A very good afternoon to you, ma'am. What can we expect today?
Good afternoon to listeners and the lovers and the followers of the ANC. Today we are going to hold a 4th Regional Conference of Rubusana Region. The conference that was supposed to have taken place almost a month ago, but it couldn't because some comrades took the conference to court because they were raising internal issues. And the court gave them what they requested, interdicted the conference, and now, as per the court advice and the instruction, we did embark on the addressing of the internal processes that comrades had a problem with, and we are confident that all those issues are being addressed, and now we are all ready for the 4th Regional Conference. You will remember that even the provincial conference was taken to court because of Rubusana branches, which then forced us to really look at our internal processes, which now we are confident that all those matters are being addressed. Hence the provincial conference was given a go-ahead and thumbs up by the court. We have a very good and jolly mood of our delegates who are going to participate here, because indeed there are no issues that are internal. Delegates are looking forward to embark on the political discussions in their conference and also elect a leadership that is going to take them forward. Remember, this is a very strategic region for the ANC insofar as the economy of this province, but also it carries a huge history insofar as the liberation movement is concerned. So we need to demonstrate that the ANC is still alive in this region, and this ANC is still going to proceed to be in charge of the region insofar as the municipality is concerned, but also being one of the political champions in making sure that the ANC remain vigilant and alive in this region. Thank you so much.
So no bogus delegates, no incarcerated people taking place, no deceased people who are not supposed to be part of the list of voting delegates, nothing of that nature at all.
Nothing of that nature at all, because all those were internal processes which are now confidently resolved, and hence today we don't have anyone who is taking anyone to court, because all the internal processes that would seem to be a problem are being resolved. Nothing now that is going to be negative to the conference, because people are satisfied with the way the ANC have addressed its internal matters.
40 out of the 50 branches of Rubusana are going to participate here. What are you saying as the PEC to the 10 branches that will not participate here?
The 10 branches, unfortunately, that are going to not being part of this. It's not because of political problems, but it's because of the finer administrative problems, wherein sometimes you don't do the things administratively correctly. Then because of the guidelines that we've adopted as ANC, a branch must participate, having gone through all the guidelines. You must have a clear membership, you must correct when you go to the conference, you must follow the very last decision that must be followed in taking a branch to a BHM and PPGM. And those branches, we hope in the next 3 months or so, they will be brought in so that we hold them. If we need to rerun the processes, we can do that so that they become part of the body of the ANC. There's nothing untowards with them not being part of the conference, but there were processes that they did not master in the process of coming to this conference.
All right, now to discuss the conference further, we're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Dr Ntsikelelo Breakfast, just to weigh in on some of those developments. Dr. Breakfast, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Nati, for having me.
Now, Dr. Breakfast, just for the benefit of our viewers in terms of providing context, particularly about, this conference from a credibility and procedural perspective, what do we make of a region holding its elective conference after a provincial conference has already been held and leaders appointed?
Yeah, so Unati, this conference in question is very important because it was under the spotlight while the PC was in motion, and the bone of contention was basically the delegates that came from that particular region. No wonder there was that application which was struck off the roll. So my assumption is that because those political developments, they had a meaning. So the political meaning of that was basically the fact that the majority of the delegates might have voted for Oscar Mabuyane. No wonder the other camp was unhappy about that. So what that means is that now there might be a political exchange in the sense that the PEC, because it was elected, it might be expected to deliver the democratic outcomes to the faction that supported them. And that will feed into the bigger scheme of things in terms of the upcoming conference of the ANC. So this conference is very symbolic for the Mabuyane camp and also for the Ramaphosa faction. But the elephant in the room, and it's not my elephant, in the PC is Mbanjwa Lungisa, because he's also part of the PC and he's pulling in a different direction. So even though the Mabuyane faction is dominant, there might be some issues because I think he's going to put up a good fight, though I think he's going to lose some of the political battles. But like I said, I mean, he's going to put up a good fight.
Now, speaking to my colleague Abongile earlier, the Eastern Cape coordinator for the region, saying they are ready for any possibilities, including the possible interdicting of the conference taking place. One would think there would not be any interruptions this time around. Do you think that we'll see an incident-free, unchallenged conference? Also, considering that 40 of the 50 branches will be participating as voting delegates in this particular conference.
Yeah, maybe Unati, there is a plan in the pipeline to question the democratic outcomes if they are not in favor of the other faction. I'm talking about now, the faction of Lungisa. I think in the final analysis, the majority of the votes from the Eastern Cape with regard to the upcoming conference of the ANC will come from the Mabuyane faction. But I don't think that Eastern Cape, in approaching that conference is going to maneuver as a unified force, as a unit. I think there might be divisions. Because, like I said, I mean, you've also have Lungisa, who's pulling in a different direction. And also, when one examines the margin at the previous PEC conference, it was very narrow. It was not wide. So what I'm saying is that there are some pockets of support for the forces of RET.
I want you to hold those thoughts about, you know, the divisions, you know, locally, and because I want to ask what this would mean then for the national elective conference. But talk to us in terms of the three candidates that stand in the running. What can we expect from, you know, the current Deputy Mayor, Princess Faku, the former regional treasurer, Ncedo Kumbaca and Ward 35 branch chairperson, Lunga Nqam?
I might be wrong, but I think Faku might be the victor, in my opinion. I stand to be corrected. I think that person is aligned to the dominant faction. And most of these conferences, I think I've said this before, I'll say it again, they are won through the office of the secretary. So I'm sure he's the one who was pulling the strings behind closed doors in the build-up to this conference. So I think the outcome might not be surprising to them because the Mabuyane faction, also Mabuyane, in his closing remarks, he made a commitment to the president that if he wants to stand, Eastern Cape is going to support him. So he would want to honor that commitment that he made by making sure that the bloc for the Ramaphosa faction is consolidated nicely.
Dr. Breakfast, of course, we've been talking about, you know, the fact that this conference has been delayed due to court processes, due to internal squabbles, etc. Now, ahead of the national conference, you know, will this region be united, and what are the consequences?
No, of course not. I mean, the issue of unity will never ever see the light of the day. So there will be divisions because you know, people now are not practicing politics of accommodation. It's a zero-sum game. You know, the winner takes all. So those who are discontent will then approach, you know, a courts of law to articulate their discontent.
Now, we've seen, you know, several of these conferences, and we've seen the journey that they've taken, a lot of them being very turbulent. You know, just putting your scope and your eye onto Gauteng with Ekurhuleni as well coming up, and Johannesburg, etc. What are we to expect?
Yeah, the Gauteng one is an interesting phenomenon between the two contenders. Panyaza and I think it's Maile. It's not quite clear, you know, which way the wind is blowing at the moment. But last time I checked, President Ramaphosa was enjoying some support there. But, you know, politics is fluid. These things, they do change. But I think, I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, I mean, on a large scale, I think the Ramaphosa faction is leading, whether you like it or not. But the forces of RET are going to put up a good fight.
Dr. Breakfast, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it.